Yes, you read that right. I was detained in Malaysia. So how all this went down is I was getting content around Kuala Lumpur, just walking around, and I walked onto a construction site. There were no private property signs, there were no trespassing signs, none of that. I was still walking, just getting content and everything. Next thing I know, I'm getting yelled at, hearing hollering, hooping and hollering from the side, like the left side. And so I'm thinking, what's going on? I mean, they yelling like mad. So the security guards run up to me and basically just screaming in my face. And they weren't Malaysian, they were Indian, and they were just screaming in my face, screaming in my face. I don't know what they saying, like. And then finally they start speaking English. They're like, what are you doing back here? Da, da, da. I'm just recording, whatever. And they're like, it's private property. You should have came through the front. Da, da, da. I'm like, bro, I don't know what the front is. Like, I'm not even from here. I don't live here. I've never been here. I don't know what you're talking about. And they thought I was playing dumb or something. Just going through all my messages, whatnot, whatever. And then they call the police. And right there, I was like, bro, there's no way this is real, bro. Like, there's no way I'm about to get detained or in any trouble for getting content, like just walking around in a place that didn't even have signs for people not to be. And so that's when it really started to hit me. That's when it really started to click, like, okay, they're serious. When the Indian guys who ran the construction site took me to the front and the main man started calling the police, the other Indian dudes were saying things like, oh, your life is over, your life is over, your future's gone, things like that. I'm thinking like, bro, what's going on? What are you talking about? Why? And like my genuine confusion was coming off to them as sarcasm or something. And so then they just started antagonizing me more and more and more. And I'm just like, bro, like where is this coming from? But it is what it is. And so the police show up, and the police were locals. I mean, like Malaysian locals. And I could tell right off the bat they were far more understanding. But the problem was understanding from my point of view. But the problem was that the man who owned that property, the building being constructed, filed a police report, which means the police have to act on that report. They have to file an investigation. They gotta make statements. They gotta, you know what I mean? They gotta work the process now because the report's been filed. So they picked me up. They said, put your hands behind your back. I'm in my mind, I'm like, bro, there's no way I'm getting arrested in Malaysia right now, fool. There's no way. Stood up, put my hands behind my back. They cuffed me. Super tight, too. I get in the back of the police car. They take me to the police station. They had me waiting there in a holding cell for a while, and till I guess they got the story figured out, straightened out, whatever, or police report done, police report done. I sat down with a couple officers back to back to back to back to back, and basically just telling the story over and over again, what was going on, what was happening. At one point, they tried to bribe me. Like, I don't know if they thought I wasn't telling them something, but they tried to bribe me with McDonald's. As soon as I told them I was from America, they went and got some McDonald's. They got some McDonald's. I'm talking large fry, Diet Coke. I mean, a Coca-Cola. Like, bruh. And the thing is, Malaysia's got curly fries with their McDonald's. So I'm looking at these curly fries, bro. Like, I mean, the bag is steaming, like, and I just know I cannot eat it. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot eat it. I know I can't. And basically, this bag of McDonald's sat in front of me for like 2-3 hours, and finally, I reached for a fry, and they start boom asking questions like on it. Were you with anybody? What time were you there? What time did you show up? Like, I'm like, bruh, like, I already told this story 5, 6, 7 times over and over. I'm not, like, there's nothing more I can tell you. And they told me that I would get 90 days in prison, in the Malaysian prison. So obviously, that's not what you want to hear. And they told me they would keep me in that cell for 90 days minimum. They put that on me. I got in front of the judge 1, 2 times. You know, they were speaking in Malay, so I couldn't even say anything. I tried, but no one really understood me. Then they took me to the police station. They took me to a different building, the actual Malaysian jail, and threw me in a cell. So they took me in there, threw me in the cell, pulled me back out so I can get my jail clothes. So they had me in the orange, you know, orange, big orange shirt, big orange shorts, no socks, no shoes, no nothing on the feet. And I'm talking like toilet in the floor, just a toilet, just a hole in the floor, bed, no mattress, no bed really. What we had to sleep on was a big cement block with loose wooden planks on it, like an 8-year-old trying to make a boat. Ants, roaches, spiders everywhere. I remember I would sleep like this, like on my hands, like sleep like this. And every single time I woke up, it was a roach, a spider, a line of ants just crawling from my elbow to my nose, just every single time I woke up. And for food, they were feeding us. I don't know if it was everybody, but they would like cut a rat in half and I guess grill it to where it still has the bone in it. Like you see the shape, you see the bone, everything. And but the meat was like cooked in a way. It was like grilled. And yo, I hadn't eaten at this point because I was in the cell for like 3, 4 days, and this was like day 2. I hadn't eaten nothing, and so I was thinking like, okay, let me just try it. Hey, no, no, sir, no. It was just as bad as it sounds. Couldn't eat that. And then everything came in like these plastic baggies tied with like knotted with rubber bands. And the other thing I had was some plain white rice, and then the third bag was just a bag of water. And so I was eating rice and water, just no silverware, of course, obviously, just rice, and then trying to figure out how to drink this water out of a plastic bag without spilling it everywhere, which didn't work. Wasn't no soap anywhere. So I couldn't nobody wash their hands, take a shower, nothing. Couldn't nobody wash nothing. So we were all just in there just stinking, just every day. We didn't get no outside time. I couldn't get out the cell one time unless the officer pulled me out to talk to me about something. And there were no windows. There was no windows. We got no outside time. So you never knew what day it was, what time it was. You didn't know if it was night or you didn't know if it was day or night or anything. But there was, and when I first came in, there were, you could tell, in any jail in any country, there are going to be inmates that are comfortable there, that are usually there, whatever. And when I first came in, there were inmates hollering, hooping, hollering, like, hey, what are you in for? Da, da, da. Obviously, I look different from them. I'm a foreigner. And they were just trying to make conversation with me, trying to holler at me, whatever. I just wasn't having it. Like, obviously, I'm not in the mood to talk to nobody. But there was one inmate that I was cool talking with because he had a little more freedom than the other inmates. He was like getting the food, passing the food out, whatever. And he come by my cell and even give me some of his food, which was super cool. And he wasn't eating rat. Like, he was eating, some chicken. It was dry, but it was chicken. You know what I mean? Some chicken, some curry, and he would give me an extra bag of water too. That was really cool. And so I was talking to him a little bit, and he asked me, hey, what are you here for? Da, da, da. I told him they got me on trespassing. He was like, oh, what'd you do? I told him the same story, that I was telling everybody else, the cops, whatever, detectives. And from that point on, he would come by my cell. He kept giving me like a little bit of his food. And anytime he would come back to my cell, he would let me know like whatever they were talking, whatever the officers were talking about in the hallways or whatever, or in the office in the front. And he would say things like, oh, he would come by and tell me things like, oh, they're talking about an American, they're talking about a guy from Texas, blah, blah, blah. So I know they were trying to, cook something up for me. I don't know if it was good or bad, but he would try to come give me that knowledge, which I really appreciated. Eventually, in the middle of the night, I was woken up by one of the officers, and it was an officer that, it was the one officer that was actually cool with me and patient with me since I got in the situation. One officer that was trying to be understanding. And I actually ended up becoming pretty cool with him throughout all of this process, throughout this whole process. So we came back in my cage. I woke up. I'm like, what's up? I recognized him. So I'm like, okay, hopefully this is good news because this dude's been the only cool person throughout this process. You know what I mean? And he said, look, we can cut a deal. I'm like, what's that? He said, I talked with some of the other officers. I talked with a couple of the. He said I talked with a couple of the officers, the detectives, and a couple of lawyers, the court, blah blah blah. And if you can pay 1,000 Malaysian ringgit to the police, 1,000 Malaysian ringgit to the court, and 1,000 Malaysian ringgit to the lawyer that they hire from me, then I can go free. I was like, bruh, I'm gonna take that. Like, of course, duh, yeah, I'm gonna take that. But I don't have cash on me right now. Can I go to an ATM? So they were like, okay, you know what? We can get you a lawyer. We can put you in the court to where, because that's where you can see your lawyer in the courthouse. So I went back to the court a third time, and that's where I met the lawyer. And I gave my lawyer, they had my things. They had my passport, they had all my stuff. They went to my hotel and got my stuff and came back to the police station. They gave my wallet to the lawyer that they hired for me, which is a cool dude, real cool dude. The lawyer was really cool. The lawyer took my card, went and pulled the money out. No. Yeah, the lawyer pulled the money out and came back and let me know, hey, I can only pull this much out. It was literally 999 ringgit. I was like, bro, okay. I said, okay, so can you give me my phone? If I get my phone, I can transfer over from account to account the money needed for me to get out of the situation. I can pay everybody off. He was like, all right, that'll be a little more tricky, whatever. So he goes in the hunt. I'm still sitting in the courthouse. I'm chained to these other people, Chinese, Malaysian, Japanese, Indian, all these other people, just in the courthouse, watching them stand up one by one to defend their case or whatever, plead guilty or not, whatever. I'm just sitting there waiting for my lawyer, just chained. And really, we were all mismatched because we had went through the hall. So I'm just sitting here like this, like chained to this dude and chained to this dude, just waiting. He eventually comes back with my bag, this one, and then he gives me my phone, takes me to it. I can unclip for a while, and we went to the hallway so I could switch the money over. And got the money over, but then I was trying to change the money over from one bank to another. And now I get this notification saying, hey, it'll take 3 business days. It's Friday, bruh. Like, and anyone who's been arrested on a Friday knows you gotta wait the whole weekend anyway before you can even get a chance at freedom. So that means I would have to stay in throughout the weekend to Monday, and then an extra 3 business days, and hopefully it would be on that 3rd business day. It doesn't always happen like that. So I had my sister up, and she was able to give me a couple $100 for the moment for me to pull it immediately. She just cash apped it to me, easy. Pulled it immediately. I went with my lawyer back down to the ATM, pulled the money out, but then the ATM wasn't working. I'm like, yo, this really can't go any. If I have to go back in this cell, but this is on the 4th day. Like, this is when I'm supposed to be done, bruh. Everything that went wrong, they would just take me back to the cell, like I was lying or something. And so then eventually, I'm able to get down to the ATM with my lawyer, and a working ATM, pulled the cash out and gave it to him. Then I went back in front of the court. But that was a part of the deal. They wanted me to plead guilty and then pay, and then I could go. So I got the cash, paid everybody, went back in front of the judge, pleaded guilty. They took me back downstairs, finished the little, whatever process they had to do, and finally uncuffed me, bruh. When I say I've never appreciated freedom so much until they uncuffed me, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm very grateful for every day at this point. I'm very grateful for every day. And I left this story out of my leaving Malaysia video, the last video I posted, because it really is a whole separate story. Like, it really is a whole separate deal that this became. So really, they left me in there 3 to 4 days before even letting me take the deal. They told me the deal on day 2, but I had to stay in that cell for whatever reason. And so I just stayed in there working out, sleeping over and over, just work out, sleep, drink bags of water, eat bags of rice. I hope and pray that dude would come by with some different food than what they were giving me and eat some of his food. And I swear, when he would bring his food to me, it tasted like a 5-star restaurant. Like, it really wasn't that good of food. I already said the chicken was dry. It was some regular curry. But just the fact that it wasn't rat, like the fact that it was just real food was just, bro, I'm still thankful for that dude. God bless that dude. So, just a lesson learned, lesson for anybody out there traveling. Make sure that you really pay attention to your surroundings, especially walking around at night. In America, it's very regular to walk through places, walk through sites, walk through dirt, grass, whatever, and just kind of go through a place, to get to the next place, the next spot. Be very careful of that when you travel, and also understand that the rules out here are very different. It might be an obvious thing for some, but the rules out here are very different than, Western society. You don't want to end up in a foreign prison, a foreign jail. Just be careful. Be careful walking around. My personal advice, what I learned, one of the things I learned from the situation is walk the streets and sidewalks. I'm done walking through grass and dirt and, these other places trying to, get to where I need to be. I'm sticking to the street. Anything a car will drive on, I'm sticking to that. Yeah. Be careful when you travel. Be careful walking around. Be very aware, even if, just like this situation where there are no trespassing signs, there are no private property signs, just be very aware if it looks like a place that a car couldn't park at or a car can't drive through. Avoid it. Go around. So yeah, be careful, be smart, and be aware. Love you. Peace.